Hello and welcome to the 1871 podcast. And today we have a Reading FC quiz for you to take part in. So just to tell you how this is going to work, there are 21 questions in total and there are different points available for each answer. And I'm going to explain how that works as we go along. And the maximum score is 50 points. So with that in mind, we've got Johnny Hunt on the call. Johnny's going to take part in the quiz. We're not going to reveal the answers until the end, Johnny, but the maximum score is 50 points. What score are you going to aim for?
I'm hoping to not completely embarrass myself. So if anything above 10, but if I got 25, I'll be mid-table and happy. If you're going to deduct me points at the end, let me know.
Yeah, well, that's something for Reading to aim for as well, isn't it? Mid-table.
Yeah.
And 50 points, that'd be good.
Yeah.
50 plus points. But actually, what you can do to make your score sound better, of course, maximum 50 points, you double it to get the percentage. So 50% probably sounds better than 25 points.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll go 50. I'll go 50%. There you
go. So whatever your score is, you can double it and get your percentage. So 50 points maximum. Now, for our listeners, what do you think your score will be out of 50? Obviously, no one's going to answer, but I'm just saying, have a think about it.
Yeah.
And have a think about what score, as a Reading fan, you think you'd like to aim for. Now, you can make a note of your answers as you go along. We'll give you all the answers at the end of the episode. We are going to repeat the questions, but if you want to, you can, of course, pause the episode whenever you like, if you want to take your time over the answers, or just answer the questions as and when. And Johnny, are you ready with a pad and pen? There it is.
Awesome. I'm ready.
Okay, good. So, Johnny, you're taking part in the quiz, but don't tell us your answers until the end of the episode when we'll reveal the answers. So at the end, I'm going to repeat the question. Johnny, you'll give me your answer and then I'll reveal the actual answers, which may or may not be different in a lot of cases.
They will be very different, I'm sure.
So, look, as I say, it's a bit of fun. We have got a few questions about Reading going back to the 1980s, but a lot of the questions are about the Royals in recent years as well, and some in between. So varying levels of difficulty. There's a few in there that we think should be quite easy for a lot of Reading fans. There will be some that are quite difficult, but just see how you get on. And do feel free to get in touch with us and let us know your score. And as I say, you can double it to get your percentage, which might sound better than Johnny if you only get 10 points. If you double it to 20%, I think.
Just clarify, Mark. There's no prizes for the winners here, is there? Because we haven't.
That's a good point. No prizes, just the glory of being the Reading FC quiz champion.
Yeah.
So, do feel free to get in touch with us. Let us know your score, how you got on. Obviously, up to you listening if you want to cheat or not. I would say to make it sort of fun and interesting for yourself, no cheating, no Google, but entirely up to you. You can do whatever you want, but get in touch with us with your score. We kind of only want you to get in touch if you've sort of got a genuine score and haven't cheated, but we're not going to it's not like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire where we're going to check that you haven't got Google up on your computer or something like that. But anyway, it's a bit of fun, but do get in touch with us. You can contact us on Twitter or Instagram at 1871 podcast with your score if you want to. So we're going to get started. Johnny, are you ready?
Yes.
Ready as you'll ever be?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to start. I said there's some questions going back to the 80s, but we're going to start with two questions about last season. So hopefully you're going to get off to a good start, Johnny, and anyone else who's listening. So question number one, this is worth a maximum of 3 points, and you give 3 answers to this question. All will become clear in a second. So you can get a maximum of 3 points. So you give 3 answers to this question, you get 1 point for every correct answer, if that makes sense. So question 1, for 3 points, which 3 teams were relegated from the Championship last season? So you get a point for each correct answer, maximum 3 points. So I'll repeat that question. Question number 1, for 3 points, which 3 teams were relegated from the Championship last season? And you get a point for each correct answer. So that's question number 1. We will be repeating these questions, or you can pause the episode if you want to write down your answer. So that's question 1. Question 2, another question about last season. For 4 points maximum, name the 4 teams that took part in last season's Championship playoffs. Again, 1 point for each correct answer, maximum of 4 points. So it's question number 2. Name the 4 teams that took part in last season's Championship playoffs for a maximum of 4 points, 1 point for each correct answer. So that's question 2. Question 3, going back a bit further, for 1 point this time. Who was Reading's top scorer in their first Premier League season in 2005-2006?
Oh, that's a tricky one.
So it's question 3 for 1 point. Who was Reading's top scorer in their first Premier League season in 2005-2006? Question 4, also for 1 point. Who is Reading's all-time leading appearance maker? Now, I think for some of you, that's going to be quite easy. Some of you might not know, but that's the question. Question 4.
Was he on a podcast with us, I wonder?
No clues, Johnny. No clues. So question 4, for 1 point, who is Reading's all-time leading appearance maker? Question 5, again for 1 point. And this is going back to 2015 now, so a bit more recent. So for 1 point, question 5. Who scored Reading's goal in their FA Cup semi-final defeat against Arsenal in 2015? So it's question 5 for 1 point. Who scored Reading's goal in their FA Cup semi-final defeat against Arsenal in 2015? Question number 6, again for 1 point. When Reading finished second in the 94-95 season, but missed out on a place in the Premier League, which team finished first that season? So it's question 6 for 1 point. When Reading finished second in the 1994-95 season, but missed out on a place in the Premier League, which team finished first that season? So, moving on, question number 7. Now, we don't have our other co-host, Dylan Kerr, with us, but we've got a question about him. So, question 7 for 1 point. What country was Dylan Kerr born in?
Ooh, that's a teaser.
Question 7 for 1 point. Which country was Dylan Kerr born in? So next question is question 8, and we're going back to the 80s for this. One of the best days of the 80s for Reading. So for a maximum of 4 points, can you name the 4 Reading goal scorers in the Simod Cup final at Wembley in 1988? So you get a point for each. So question 8 for 4 points, name the 4 Reading goal scorers in the Simod Cup final at Wembley in 1988. So it's 1 point for each. So if you get all 4 of them right, you get 4 points. If you only get one of them right, you get 1 point, and so on. So that's question 8, the 4 Reading scorers in the Simod Cup final in 1988. So for our listeners, how do you think you're getting on so far? And also for Johnny, how do you think you're getting on so far?
Better than
Without
I
giving
thought, I
anything
think.
away. You what, sorry?
Better than I thought.
Okay, all right. So moving on to question 9, and we go back to the 2005-2006 season for this one. So question 9 for 1 point. In the 106 season in 2005-2006, who scored Reading's goal in their 2-1 defeat at home to Plymouth on the opening day of the season? And if you don't know, if you can't remember, maybe you want to have a guess. Just an idea. So question 9 for 1 point. In Reading's 106 season in 2005-2006, who scored the Reading goal in their 2-1 defeat at home to Plymouth on the opening day of the season? So, question 10. We're almost halfway. 21 questions. So, question 10 for 1 point. Going back to 2003. In 2003, which club did Alan Pardew leave Reading to become manager of? Question 10 for 1 point. In 2003, which club did Alan Pardew leave Reading to become manager of?
Stick him on garden leave.
No clues, Johnny. So question 11. Another question about Alan Pardew. Question 11 for 1 point. Which manager did Alan Pardew take over from as Reading manager in 1999? So question 11 for 1 point. Which manager did Alan Pardew take over from as Reading manager in 1999? Okay, so we're halfway now. 11 questions out of 21. So question 12. This might be a tricky one. Some of you might know this. Maybe you want to take a guess if you don't know. So question 12, and this is worth up to 2 points. Can you name the 2 Reading goal scorers in their first game of the new millennium in the 2-2 draw at Gillingham on January the 3rd, 2000?
Oh, jeez.
Well, that's 1 point per goal scorer, and feel free to have a guess if you don't know. So it's question 12. I'll repeat the question for 2 points. Can you name the 2 Reading goal scorers in their first game of the new millennium in the 2-2 draw at Gillingham on January the 3rd, 2000? And you get 1 point per goal scorer. So we're more than halfway now, and we're up to question 13. What do you reckon about that last one, Johnny? Are you going to take a guess, or do you think you might know?
I was there. But don't remembering the goal is a different thing.
You remember
it was the first goal. It was the first goal of the millennium, wasn't it? I think.
So
in football,
it was the 2 Reading goal scorers in their first game of the new millennium. So that's all I'm going to say on that one. Yes. So anyway, moving on to 13, question 13. This is worth up to 3 points. And it's a question going back to 2007. For 3 points, name the 3 Reading goal scorers in the 7-4 defeat at Portsmouth in the Premier League in September 2007. And you get 1 point for each goal scorer. Now, there was an own goal for Reading by a Portsmouth player. So we just need to know which 3 Reading players scored. So I'll repeat the question. Question 13, maximum of 3 points available. Can you name the 3 Reading goal scorers in the 7-4 defeat at Portsmouth in the Premier League in September 2007? And you get 1 point for each goal scorer. There were 3 Reading goal scorers and an own goal for Reading by a Portsmouth player. So we're just looking for the 3 Reading goal scorers, not the scorer of the own goal. So that's question 13, worth 3 points. Question 14 for an extra point. Which Reading player scored an own goal during that game? So which Reading player scored an own goal for Portsmouth in that game? For 1 point. So question 4 for an extra 1 point. Which Reading player scored an own goal for Portsmouth during that game? So moving on to question 15. And if it feels like I'm going a bit fast, you can pause it. We're going to repeat the questions. So, however you want to do this, you can pause the episode, take your time over the questions if you want to, but we are going to be repeating them after we've finished question 21. So next question is question number 15 for 1 point. And I think quite a lot of you will know the answer to this one. So question 15 for 1 point. Who scored the Reading equaliser that clinched promotion in the 1-1 draw at Brentford on the final day of the 2001-2002 season? So it's question 15 for 1 point. Who scored Reading's equaliser that clinched promotion for Reading in the 1-1 draw at Brentford on the final day of the 2001-2002 season? So that's question 15, and I'm guessing quite a lot of you will know the answer to that one. So we're coming up to question 16 now out of 21, and question 16 is worth up to 2 points. So can you name the 2 players who were joint top scorers for Reading in the 2017-2018 season? And you get 1 point for each. So this is question 16, and it's worth a maximum of 2 points. And we want you to name the 2 players who were joint top scorers for Reading in the 2017-2018 season.
That's
1 point. 1 point for each. Might take some thinking to figure that one out, but anyway. So I reckon that, so question 17 now, and I reckon a lot of you will know the answer to this. No shame if you don't, but I think a lot of you will do. So question 17 is worth 1 point. Which Scottish club did Graham Murty go on to manage? Question 17 for 1 point. Which Scottish club did Graham Murty go on to manage? Johnny, do you think you know the answer?
Possibly. Have a guess?
I think you might do. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 questions left, including this next question, which is question 18. So for 1 point, which former Chelsea goalkeeper managed Reading for 7 games in 1991 and for 1 game in 2020? So question 18.
Do you get an extra point if you can spell his surname?
No clues. No. Just a bonus glory point. But no, you don't. Question 18, and I think you know the answer, Johnny. For 1 point, which former Chelsea goalkeeper managed Reading for 7 games in 1991 and for 1 game in 2020? So that was question 18. 3 questions left. So question number 19. For 2 points, maximum of 2 points, which 2 Italian clubs did former Reading manager Jaap Stam play for? So it's question 19 for 2 points, maximum of 2 points, 1 point for each. Which 2 Italian clubs did former Reading manager Jaap Stam play for? So 1 point for each. I can see Johnny thinking there. His mind is whirring.
It's pretty obvious, isn't it, Mark? Really? It's the lack of hair.
No, I can just see you thinking. You're very focused, because everyone, when they're thinking, they've got like a thing that they do. So a lot of people look up, and you look to the side.
Again,
I'm
scribbling, narrowing it down to like.
That's how I can tell that you were thinking. So that was question number 19. So we've got 2 questions left. Question 20. So this is worth up to 2 points. Can you name Reading's 2 joint top goal scorers in the 1981-82 season? And I'll give you a clue. They both went on to play for England. So you get 1 point for each. I'll repeat the question. It's question number 20 for a maximum of 2 points. Can you name Reading's 2 joint top goal scorers in the 1981-82 season? And the clue is they both went on to play for England, and you get a point for each correct answer. So we've got the final question, which is question 21. Now, some of you might have worked out, I said there's a maximum of 50 points available. So the first 20 questions had 34 points available. So therefore, that means that question 21 is worth a maximum of 16 points.
That's evil. You're not nice. You're not a nice quizmaster.
But
I see your true colours.
Some of you will get at least some points out of 16 from this. I would be very surprised if someone got all 16 points. Please do contact us if you get all 16 points for this question. So 21, final question, question number 21 is worth up to 16 points. And it's about the 2005-2006 season, so relatively recent. It's not that recent, but it feels like it. Obviously, a glorious season for Reading. It was the 106 season in 2005-2006. Excluding own goals, Reading had 16 goal scorers that season. Now, you'll get a point for every goal scorer you can name. So, just to repeat the question, question number 21. It's the final question. It's worth a maximum of 16 points. Very well played to anyone who can get all 16. So the question again is, in the 106 season in 2005-2006, excluding own goals, Reading had 16 goal scorers that season, and you get a point for every correct goal scorer you can name. So that's question 21, the final question. I'll pause a little bit for you to have a think about that. So I'm going to repeat that final question because it's worth 16 points. In the 106 season in 2005-2006, excluding own goals, Reading had 16 goal scorers that season. And you get a point for every goal scorer you can name. How many you got, Johnny, so far, without giving anything away?
I've got the main ones.
Yeah.
And I think there's a few sneaky ones.
Do you think you might get 16 or 15 or?
You know, I'm going to go a bit wilder. I think I'm going to get. I'm comfortable with 13, 14.
Yeah, I think if you get sort of 14 or 15, you've done really well. I'll be really impressed if anyone does get 16. Somebody might do. And as I say, please do get in touch at 1871 Podcasts on Twitter or Instagram to tell us your score. We're going to reveal the answers soon. And let us know how you got on in question number 21, worth up to 16 points. So look, before we reveal the answers, I'm going to repeat the questions in case you need a reminder. So I'm going to go through these, and then after I've done that, we'll find out what Johnny's answers are, and we'll reveal the answers one question at a time. So the first question, question number 1 was worth 3 points. Which 3 teams were relegated from the Championship last season? And as I say, you get a point for each correct answer. So maximum of 3 points, 1 point each. Which 3 teams were relegated from the Championship last season? Question 2 was for 4 points. Name the 4 teams that took part in last season's Championship playoffs. Again, 1 point for each correct answer. Question 3 was worth 1 point. Who was Reading's top scorer in their first Premier League season in 2005-2006? Actually, that's the following season, isn't it? Have I got that right? Anyway, it's for 1 point. Who was Reading's top scorer in their first Premier League season? So I think I might have said 2005-2006. Is that right, Johnny? First Premier League
Yeah.
Right, isn't it? Yeah, I just had a brain freeze then. So anyway, question 3 was for 1 point, who was Reading's top scorer in the first Premier League season in 2005-2006? Question 4, also for 1 point, who is Reading's all-time leading appearance maker? Question 5, again for 1 point, who scored Reading's goal in their FA Cup semi-final defeat against Arsenal in 2015? Question 6 for 1 point, when Reading finished second in the 94-95 season but missed out on a place in the Premier League, which team finished first that season? Question 7 for 1 point, which country was Dylan Kerr born in? Question 8 for a maximum of 4 points, name the 4 Reading goal scorers in the Simel Cup final at Wembley in 1988, a point for each. Question 9 for 1 point, in the 106 season, I have got that last question, the date wrong, Johnny, because the 106 season was 2005-2006, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So the following season was the first season in the Premier League. So just for clarification, go back to that one. That's my fault. Yeah, so question 3 for 1 point, who's Reading's top scorer in their first Premier League season?
If people are going to quibble, then you're not going to win anything anyway. So just go over yourselves.
Yeah, but it's important, the glory. Anyway, that's my mistake. Apologies. But anyway, it was we're looking for the top goal scorer, question 3, in the first season in the Premier League. So where do we get to? Yeah, question 9. Was it question 9 we were talking about? Question 8. 4 Reading scorers in the Simon Cup finals. Question 8. Question 9 for 1 point, in the 106 season in 2005-2006, who scored Reading's goal in the 2-1 defeat at home to Plymouth on the opening day of the season? Question 10 for 1 point, in 2003, which club did Alan Pardew leave Reading to become manager of? Question 11, also for 1 point, which manager did Alan Pardew take over at Reading from in 1999? Question 12, this is worth up to 2 points. Can you name the 2 Reading goal scorers in their first game of the new millennium in the 2-2 draw at Gillingham on January the 3rd, 2000? 1 point per goal scorer. Question 13 is worth up to 3 points. Name the 3 Reading goal scorers in the 7-4 defeat at Portsmouth in the Premier League in September 2007. 1 point for each goal scorer. We're not including the own goal for Reading scored by a Portsmouth player. So we just need to know which 3 Reading players scored in that game. And then question 14 for an extra 1 point, which Reading player scored an own goal for Portsmouth during that game? So question 14 for an extra 1 point, which Reading player scored an own goal for Portsmouth during that game? Question 15 for 1 point, who scored Reading's equaliser that clinched promotion, automatic promotion, in the 1-1 draw at Brentford on the final day of the 2001-2002 season? Question 16 for 2 points, which 2 players were joint top scorers for Reading in the 2017-2018 season? That's 1 point for each. Question 17 was worth 1 point. Which Scottish club did Graham Murty go on to manage? Question 18 for 1 point, which former Chelsea goalkeeper managed Reading for 7 games in 1991 and then for 1 game in 2020? Question 19 for 2 points, which 2 Italian clubs did former Reading manager Jaap Stam play for? Question 20 for 2 points, name Reading's 2 joint top goal scorers in the 1981-82 season. And the clue is they both went on to play for England, and you get 1 point for each. And then the final question, question 21, is worth a maximum of 16 points. So in the 106 season in 2005-2006, excluding own goals, Reading had 16 goal scorers that season, and you get a point for every goal scorer you can name. So that's a recap on the questions, and now we're going to reveal the answers. And Johnny, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out the question. You're going to give me your answer, And if you make a note of how many points you've got, that would be good. And then you can tell me your score at the end. So I'm going to reveal the answers as we go along. So if you're all ready, here are the answers.
And just for anyone's watching, they're written down, Mark. So I'm not cheating.
Yeah, I can't see.
You can't read my reading. No one can read my writing because I'm a nurse.
I was going to say I can't see a laptop anywhere, but obviously you're on one. So, but yeah, I can see that he's written down the answers. I can't read his writing, but
one can, mate.
That's another story. But yes, Johnny is showing me a piece of paper with some words written on it and numbers. So I'm guessing he's got all the answers.
I'm as honest as the rest of them.
Yeah. So, and it doesn't matter. It's a bit of fun. I think if we were offering money or something as a prize, might do it differently, but we're not. There's nothing apart from the glory. So now for the answers. So Johnny, I'm going to read out the question and ask you to give me your answers. And then I'll reveal the correct answer or answers for each question. So question 1 was worth up to 3 points. Which 3 teams were relegated from the Championship last season? A point for each. What was your answer, Johnny?
This one's not too bad because it's recent. My memory's good for this. I think Sheffield United, Norwich, Watford.
No, I think you've misunderstood the question.
The relegated last season.
Which 3 teams were relegated from the Championship last season?
Oh, sorry, I thought the Premier League. Ah, man.
I'll have a listen back. I don't think I said the Premier League.
No, sorry, that was me.
I think I said the Championship.
So okay, so Wycombe. Give me a bailout on this one. It was Wycombe. It was Blackpool. It was Peterborough.
No, well, you don't get any points because you gave the wrong answer. But even
you only got 1 point. If you want to quibble over these things, now come on. I'm not
the answer when you got on your second go, you got 1 point. Good. Because you said Peterborough. You said Wycombe and Blackpool. We played Blackpool recently, so it was Derby and Barnsley.
Yeah.
Peterborough, Derby, and Barnsley. So you get 1 point for each of those.
Premier League. So that's all I
listen. My apologies if I said Premier League. if I did say Premier League,
mate, it's me.
And you got those 3 teams, you can have 3 points. But I don't
think I'm going to win anyway, Mark. I'm okay.
Pretty sure I said Championship. So Johnny, that's 0 points for you, unless I did say Premier League. And the answer, 1 point for each, is Peterborough, Derby, and Barnsley. So question 2. So you got 0 points so far, Johnny.
Oh well.
So question 2 is worth up to 4 points. Name the 4 teams that took part in last season's Championship playoffs. Again,
well, I'll go for this one. Huddersfield, Luton, I could read my own writing, it'd be a lot easier. Yeah, I've got those 2. Yeah.
So Huddersfield is correct, 1 point. Luton is correct, 1 point. Nottingham Forest.
Oh, Nottingham Forest, yeah.
So if you said Nottingham Forest, you got a point. And the other one was Sheffield United. So if you said Huddersfield, you get a point. If you said Luton, you get a point. If you said Nottingham Forest, you get a point. And if you said Sheffield United, you got a point. And the order was Huddersfield, Forest, Sheffield United, and Luton in terms of where they finished. So a point for each: Huddersfield, Nottingham Forest, Sheffield United, and Luton. So question 3, for 1 point, who was Reading's top scorer in their first Premier League season and I said 2005, 2006, but it's the following season. So for 1 point, who was Reading's top scorer in their first Premier League season?
I'm going Kevin Doyle because I'm going right. It could be 1 of 2 or 3.
Who would have been the second and the third, you would have guessed?
I'd go Kits and Lita, but not obvious though. Probably Harper or Sidwell or.
So now I have tried to do my research here. So if we've got any of these questions wrong, which is a possibility, do feel free to come back and have a go at me. But as far as I know, this is correct, and it's Reading's top scorer in their first Premier League season. If you said the same as Johnny, and you said Kevin Doyle, you would have got no points. If you said Dave Kitson, which was Johnny's sort of second choice, you would have got no points. If you said Leroy Lita, which was Johnny's third choice, you would have got 1 point, apparently. But if anyone comes back to me and says, no, Leroy Lita got this number of goals in the league and Dave Kitson, that's fine. If you look it up and you find some reason why your answer is correct and Leroy Lita is incorrect, fine, you can have a point. But according to my research, it was Leroy Lita. So you get a point if you said Leroy Lita. So question 4, also for 1 point, who is Reading's all-time leading appearance maker? And Johnny gave you a little clue. Who was that, Johnny?
Martin Hicks.
It was Martin Hicks. I think a lot of Reading fans will get that one right, even though it was quite a long time ago now. But I remember Martin Hicks, and you do as well, don't you? And we had him on the podcast.
Indeed, legend.
So that was worth 1 point, question 4. Question 5, again worth 1 point. Who scored Reading's goal in the FA Cup semi-final defeat against Arsenal in 2015?
Mr. McCleary.
And if you are listening and you said Gareth McCleary, you get a point. Congratulations. Well done, Johnny.
Gee. And Chris Gunter retired today from international football. There we go.
I heard that.
Yes.
When you say today, which day are you talking about?
I don't know what day I'm in, mate. I've got a house full of vomit going on here.
So this is pre-recorded. So that's why we haven't mentioned anything about yesterday's game against Millwall, because it hasn't happened yet. So yes, it was question 5. Gareth McCleary was Reading's goal scorer against Arsenal in the semi-final defeat in the FA Cup in 2015. 1 point for that. Question 6, for 1 point, when Reading finished second in the 94-95 season but missed out on a place in the Premier League, which team finished top that season? Johnny? Pardon?
Borough.
I'll give you that. The full name is Middlesbrough.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah,
You're harsh to a harsh taskmaster.
So that's the point. If you said Middlesbrough, and even if you said Borough, then you can have that. So that's a point for that one, question 6. Question 7, for 1 point, he's not with us, our co-host Dylan Kerr, but do you know which country he was born in, Johnny?
He's a teaser. He's from Malta.
Yes, that's correct. He was born in Malta. So question 8, this is worth up to 4 points. Name the 4 Reading goal scorers in the Simod Cup final at Wembley in 1988, and you get a point for each. Go on, Johnny, can you remember?
I remember the old stuff. During the war. Gilks, Bevan, Tate and Smiley.
So if you said Gilks, you get a point for that. If you said Bevan, you get a point for that. If you said Tate, you get a point for that. If you said Smiley, you get a point for that. If you've actually written down Michael Gilks, Stuart Bevan, Mick Tate and Neil Smiley, you still get 4 points. I'm taking it that you were just saying their surnames rather than you've forgotten their first names.
I was just trying to, keep us flowing, mister.
Yeah. Okay. So it was Michael Gilks, Stuart Bevan, Mick Tate and Neil Smiley. And what a day that was.
Indeed.
At Wembley. And you were there, Johnny, right?
No, I wasn't.
Oh.
No.
Yeah, I remember you said you weren't there. I was there.
I was a poor student living down in Yeovil.
Yeah, I was at that game.
I watched it. But...
One of the greatest, I know 106 season, Premier League, all that sort of thing, record-breaking Royals, but, as a Reading fan, one of the greatest days.
And we haven't won at Wembley since.
In the club's history. Yeah, we don't do very well at Wembley. But we did that day.
Yeah.
So Mick Harford scored for Luton to put Luton 1-0 up. And then I think this was one of Michael Gilks' best ever games for Reading. Yeah. And some people think it was because it was on a big pitch. I don't know if that's true or not, or how much bigger it was compared to Elm Park. But anyway, getting back to the answer, 1 point for each. If you said Michael Gilks, Stuart Bevan, Mick Tate and Neil Smiley, you get 4 points. If you didn't say all of them, you get a point for each. So question 9, for 1 point, in the 106 season in 2005-2006, who scored the Reading goal in the 2-1 defeat at home to Plymouth on the opening day of the season? Johnny?
Oh, geez. You know, I was actually watching the Ashes at this time over in Australia at this time, so I was very, just very confused. I was going to go Sidwell, and then I was going to go Lita, and
What
one
have
or
you,
the other.
what have you actually written down?
I've written Sidwell, and I went, I'll go Sidwell. I'm totally wrong, but there we go.
Let's have a look at your pad. Point to where it is, because I can't read your writing.
There you go.
So what have you written? You've written down Sidwell and Lita.
Yeah, and I was going for one of them, so I'm going to go Sidwell. That was my first choice. It's wrong, but hey ho.
Well, if you did, like your answer, Sidwell. So if anyone listening has gone for Sidwell, no points. If anyone's listening, well, if anyone's listening, that's great. Yes. For anyone who is listening who said Leroy Lita, you get a point.
Oh no, I want to recount.
So, what was your first instinct, Sidwell?
Yeah, I just,
Yeah,
yeah.
guess. Was it a pure guess?
No, it's just kind of because to me it wasn't obvious. I went, yeah, because Doyle wasn't starting in that game because he didn't come on until.
Was Lita a guess then?
It was like, it was like a backup guy. I was like, one or the other, but
Okay,
that's life.
Well, no points for you, Johnny.
Thanks, mate. You're all hard.
Anyone listening who said Leroy Lita gets a point. So, question 10 for 1 point. In 2003, which club did Alan Pardew leave Reading to become manager of? I'm guessing a lot of you will know the answer to this. Johnny, what's the answer?
West Ham.
The answer is West Ham. So you get a point if you said West Ham. If you said anything else, no points. But if you did say West Ham, you get a point. So that's question 10. Alan Pardew did indeed leave Reading to become manager of West Ham in slightly controversial circumstances, if I remember correctly. So question 11, for 1 point, which manager did Alan Pardew take over from as Reading manager in 1999? Johnny, what do you think?
Well, I think I could be wrong, but a lot of folks that we've had on the podcast say a lot of great words about him. He didn't do great at Reading, but he was a wonderful man. Tommy Burns.
Tommy Burns is correct. So you get a point for that, Johnny, and anyone else who has said Tommy Burns also gets a point. So that's question 11. Now for question 12, worth up to 2 points. Name the 2 Reading goal scorers in the first game of the new millennium in the 2-2 draw at Gillingham on January the 3rd, 2000. 1 point per goal scorer. So who did you say, Johnny?
Well, I think the first one has been a guest on our podcast, Mark Nichols.
And who's your second one?
The second one, I want him to be a guest, but I don't think he actually scored in that game. Was Super Kasky. Darren Kasky, but I don't think he did.
So if you said Mark Nichols, if the listeners said Mark Nichols, you get a point for that. So, Johnny, you've got a point. He was indeed a guest, and he talked about that goal, didn't he?
Yeah.
Now, the other one, what did you say, Johnny?
I said Kasky, but it's not.
It's not Darren Kasky, but I really like this player. This player was a really good player for Reading. Martin Williams.
Oh, yes.
Him. Good player for Reading. So the answers for the question 12 for this question were Mark Nichols and Martin Williams. So you get a point for each. So question 13 for 3 points. Name the 3 Reading goal scorers in the 7-4 defeat at Portsmouth in the Premier League in September 2007. And we're only looking for the Reading names, not the own goal scored by a Portsmouth player. So which 3 Reading players scored for Reading in the 7-4 defeat at Portsmouth in September 2007 in a Premier League game? Johnny, who have you gone for?
Hunty, Kitson and Loyal. There, Kitson and Long. That was the 3.
So if you said Stephen Hunt, you get a point for that. So Johnny, you've got a point. If you said Dave Kitson, you get a point for that. So Johnny, you got a point for that. Now, if you said Shane Long, you also get a point.
Hey.
So 3 maximum points for Johnny.
3 on a roll.
Round of applause.
Going up.
Good knowledge, good memory.
I remember about 3 o'clock in the morning in Australia watching it and crying.
Unless it was a guess, but it sounds like you
Ah,
knew the answer. That was the game when Chris Kamara said unbelievable a lot. And that was the one where he didn't know someone got subbed, or he didn't know one of the scorers, or there was a goal or something like that, wasn't it?
I think it's still the highest goal scoring game in the Premier League, isn't it?
Yeah, but Chris, there was one thing when they were all laughing at him in the Sky studio because he didn't really know what was going on, but there were 11 goals. So you got 3 points for that, Johnny. Question 14 was, which Reading player scored an own goal for Portsmouth during that game?
Well, initially I went Nicky Shorey was in my head, and I crossed it out this time. And then there you go. I went for Ivar Ingemarson in the end.
So is that your final answer?
Yes, I'm wrong again probably, but there we go.
And you would be correct.
Oh Jesus!
So if you're guessing on an own goal, it's always good to have a guess for a defender.
Yeah,
Not always the case, but worth a guess for a defender, isn't it? So yes, it was Ivar Ingemarson, so that's worth a point. Now, guessing a lot of you, I think, Johnny, you've got this one right. Question 15. I think a lot of you will have got this one correct. For 1 point, question 15, who scored the Reading equaliser that clinched promotion in the 1-1 draw at Brentford on the final day of the 2001-2002 season? Johnny, who was that player?
no, there's only one, Jamie Curran.
That's correct. And he's been a guest, hasn't he?
Yes, and if you get that wrong, hang your head in shame. I mean, get everything else wrong, but you cannot get that.
Mind you, look, you know, we've got some young Reading fans. That was talking 21 years ago.
Years, yeah. Jeez, but what a day that was, wasn't it? That was an amazing day.
Yeah.
As a fan.
That's 1 point if you said Jamie Curran. Question 16, this is worth up to 2 points. And I think this is quite a tricky one, actually, even though it's
the hardest one, actually.
Even though it's not that long ago. I'm sure a few of you know the answer, but one or two of you might get stuck on at least one of these names. So which two players were joint top scorers for Reading in the 2017-2018 season? 1 point for each. Johnny, who did you say?
I actually really struggled. I thought about it, and I was like, I don't think it was the season Jan Kermorgant was with us. I think it was the season after or whatever. I went Nick Blackman and Danny Williams because I actually didn't have a clue because I can't remember much of that season.
Right. So again, according to my research, and feel free to come back to me and say I've got it wrong, and actually this player scored in this number of goals in the league, and altogether it was this player. But according to my research, it was John Daddy Bodvarsson.
Jeez, wow, there you go.
And I can't remember how to pronounce this. Mudu Barrow.
Wow, there you go. I was even 2 years out. I wasn't reading that recently.
So if you know otherwise, that's fine. So if you look it up and it's not John Daddy Bodvarsson and it's not Mudu Barrow, and you actually know who it really is, but according to my research, it's those two. So if you said John Daddy Bodvarsson, you can have a point. If you said Mudu Barrow, you can have a point. And I think if you got Mudu Barrow, then it's kind of 1 point with a little star next to it. So question 17, I think a lot of you will know the answer to this. For 1 point, which Scottish club did Graham Murty go on to manage? Johnny?
Rangers.
It was indeed Rangers. So if you said Rangers, that's a point. Coming towards the end now, a few more questions. Question 18, for 1 point, which former Chelsea goalkeeper managed Reading for 7 games in 1991 and for 1 game in 2020? Johnny, who do you think that was?
I think it was him. I'm going up. Eddie Niedzwiecki.
It was indeed Eddie Niedzwiecki. Yes. So 1 point if you said Eddie Niedzwiecki. And you had a little bit of a clue because Johnny said, can I have a bonus point if I spell it correctly? There was a kind of a clue, but the answer to that question is no, but you can put a little tick or a star next to it if you did spell it properly. And I think it's Eddie. And then the surname is, I think, Niedzwicki.
Hopefully.
So if you got the spelling right, you can have a a tick or a star, but no extra points. 1 point if you said Eddie Niedzwiecki for question 18. So for question 19, coming towards the end now, for 2 points, which 2 Italian clubs did former Reading manager Jaap Stam play for? Who do you think that was, Johnny?
It's 2 of 3. I've gone Inter, Sampdoria, or Juventus, and I've gone Inter and Sampdoria, but it's probably Juventus because I'm just jinxed.
Right. Well, if anyone listening said Inter, no points.
Yeah, it's AC Milan, isn't it?
What was your second one, Sampdoria?
Yeah.
If you said Sampdoria, no points. What was your third one?
I said Juventus.
Well, if you said Juventus, no points.
Ah.
The answer is Lazio for a point and AC Milan for a point.
Yeah.
So question 20, worth up to 2 points. Can you name Reading's 2 joint top goal scorers in the 81-82 season? And they both went on to play for England. 1 point for each. Who was that, Johnny?
Kerry Dixon and Neil Webb.
If you said Kerry Dixon, you can have a point. And if you said Neil Webb, you can have a point. Correct. Maximum points again, Johnny. Well done. I'll be very pleasantly surprised and very impressed if you get maximum points on the last question. Question 21, the final question, is worth a maximum of 16 points. Now, if you do get all 16 correct and you haven't cheated, get in touch and let us know, because that is very impressive. Now, we might do something in the future where we get fans on to be a guest, ask some questions, that sort of thing. So yeah, get in touch, because obviously if you do get 16 questions, I think it's fair to say you are a proper Reading fan. Not that 16 answers correct. If you don't, it doesn't mean you're not a proper Reading fan, but I think if you get all 16 right, then you've got, proper Reading.
You've got a lot of issues.
Over and above. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, get in touch and let us know. And maybe we'll do something like let you ask a question or come on as a guest or something like that. So in the 2005-2006 season, and I'm confused now if that's the right season, but I think that's right. So it's the 106 season, 2005-2006. Excluding own goals, Reading had 16 goal scorers. And again, I'm probably going to add this up and it was only 15, but I think it is 16. And I'm just going to do a quick tally now. I'm going to recount them. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. It is 16. Phew. Otherwise, it'll be a maximum of 49 points if it's only 15. So it was 16. Johnny, what I'm going to do, just give you answers one at a time, and I'll say yes or no. So,
okay.
Go on then.
Well, the last and most famous one, Graham Murty.
So, Graham Murty is correct. I think most Reading fans will get that. So that's 1 point for Graham Murty. Next one.
Ivar Ingemarson.
Ivar Ingemarson is correct. So that's another point. So 2 points. Next
Ibrahima
one.
Sonko.
Ibrahima Sonko is correct. Another point if you said Ibrahima Sonko. Next one, Johnny.
Nicky Shorey.
Nicky Shorey is also worth 1 point. So you get a point if you said Nicky Shorey. Next one.
James Harper.
James Harper, good knowledge. A point for that. So you've got 5 points so far. Next
Steve
one.
Sidwell.
Steve Sidwell. Yep, that's worth a point. Next one.
Bobby Convey.
Are you leaving the obvious ones until last?
Oh, yeah.
Bobby Convey is correct. That's 1 point.
Then you've got the 4 strikers. You've got Kevin Doyle.
Kevin Doyle is correct. I think most, if not all of you listening have got that. So
Dave Kitson.
Worth a point. Dave Kitson, correct. That's worth a
Leroy
point.
Lita.
Leroy Lita, correct. That's worth 1 point.
Shane Long.
Shane Long is correct. That's worth 1 point.
Stephen Hunt.
So before we come to Stephen Hunt, let's add up what you've got so far. So you've given me, before Stephen Hunt, you've said, I'll just read it out in the order that I've got it written down here. So you've said Dave Kitson, Kevin Doyle, Leroy Lita, Steve Sidwell, James Harper, Bobby Convey, Shane Long, Ibrahim Sonko, Ivar Ingemarson, Nicky Shorey, Graham Murty. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 out of 11. Correct. And you're saying Stephen Hunt?
Yep.
That's also correct. So that's 12 out of 12. So to get max, you're getting quite close now. Your aim was at least 13. So you've got one more to get. If you get 4 more, you've got all 16. So who's your next one?
John Oster.
John Oster is correct. So that's your 13. So you've got 3 more to get. Next
Super
one.
Bryn. Super Brynjar Gunnarsson.
Brynjar Gunnarsson is also correct. So if you said Brynjar Gunnarsson, give yourself a point. So that's 14 out of 14, Johnny. Very impressive.
John Halls.
Next one is who? Sorry,
John Halls.
John Halls is correct. That's worth a point. You got 15 out of 15. Now,
this is the one. This is the one. This is the total gamble. Is this the millionaire? The question. I'm going. This is my one, and I don't think it's right, but I'm going for it. Chris Makin.
Now, if anyone listening said Chris Makin, that is incorrect. No points. So the final one, if you said all of those and you've also got 15 out of 15. So Johnny, you finished off 15. Well done. Small round of applause for you.
Small round of applause. At least a medium round of applause. Give us some credit, man.
Medium round of applause for Johnny. Well done. 15 out of 16 is impressive. The other one, I think you're going to kick yourself because for me, John Halls was the difficult one out of all of those. The other one, now I'm looking at you to get your reaction when I tell you this, because I think you're going to kick yourself, was Glenn Little.
Oh, God, yes. Yeah, absolutely. But so, it's amazing what you forget, isn't it? No, if you're listening, then
was the other one. I'm going to read them all out, and I think these are in order of how many goals they scored. So at the top, inverted commas, the obvious ones, you've got Dave Kitson, Kevin Doyle, Leroy Lita, and then you've got Steve Sidwell, James Harper, Bobby Convey, Glenn Little, Brynjar Gunnarsson, Shane Long, Ibrahim Sonko, Ivar Ingemarson, Nicky Shorey, Stephen Hunt, Graham Murty, of course, John Oster, and John Halls. So that's the 16. I'll repeat those again. Dave Kitson, Kevin Doyle, Leroy Lita, Steve Sidwell, James Harper, Bobby Convey, Glenn Little, Brynjar Gunnarsson, Shane Long, Ibrahim Sonko, Ivar Ingemarson, Nicky Shorey, Stephen Hunt, Graham Murty, John Oster, and John Halls.
I can't believe I didn't get Glenn Little. Oh my God, that's so obvious.
I think there will be a few that will get 15. I'll be surprised. The reason I'm surprised is that you got John Halls, but you didn't get Glenn Little. I think that the trick.
Glenn Little was obvious. It's so blatantly obvious. And I was going through all the positions. I was going through defensive midfield. And I was going, how can you forget Glenn Little? Jeez, what a player! Like, my God, it's embarrassing. I quit. I'm going to have to go and support Swindon.
No. Don't mention that. My guess is that for anyone else who got 15 out of 16, the chances are John Halls might be the one missing.
Yeah.
And then you've got players like, I think you did well if you said John Oster. You possibly did well if you said somebody like Brynjar Gunnarsson. I think, all of the defenders scored, didn't they?
Yeah.
So Ingemarson, Shorey, Murty. So yeah, if you got all 16, and if you said John Halls, then well done. Let us know at 1871 podcast, Instagram or Twitter. So Johnny, have you added up your final score?
Roughly I think
Roughly.
I'm pretty happy. Pretty happy with my end score. I think I've kind of
Hold on. Let's clarify. What do you mean by roughly? Or do you mean you're still doing it?
got.
So Johnny is going to give
I
us.
think I think I've ended up around 37, 38, and I'm happy with that. I can retire a happy man.
Is that percent?
38 out of 50, so 70%,
Okay.
3/4 roughly, give or take me on the question. Anyone thinks I've got it wrong,
So,
then
so
75%.
Johnny's got 37 or 38. He's not sure, but he's going to add it up, and then we'll
Yeah, I'm comfortably
use that
top
as a
10.
benchmark.
Top 10.
Yeah, so that's more than you thought. You said 25, didn't you? Was your
And I'm more annoyed because if I missed the stupid ones that I should have got, I would have got even higher.
so the one that you're probably kicking yourself about is Glenn Little, I reckon.
Yeah, and he's going to kick me if I ever see him. He's going to go, "What?" Like Dylan, hasn't forgotten me about not picking his best left back. I forgot when Little scored for Reading. It's a shame. I never go back to Reading. I'm staying in Ireland.
Nah, come back soon. So
It's good fun.
So to all of you who are listening, to our listener or listeners, however many of you there are listening in, let us know how many you got, and let us know how many out of 16 you got for the last question. If you got 16, bravo. Big round of applause for that. And John Halls will be pleased that you remembered him, I'm sure. So actually, John Halls, talking of him, I've been in contact with him. He said yes, he will be a guest at some point. So falling into that category also is Leroy Lita, Stephen Hunt, Michael Gilks and Phil Parkinson. So in theory, we're getting all of those Reading players on as guests. It's just about booking in dates and stuff like that. So hopefully at least one of those. Michael Gilks is the one that myself and a lot of Reading fans would like to listen into as a guest. I think the same applies to Phil Parkinson. And we'll just carry on seeing if we can get a guest for you. But look, let us know your score in the quiz. So it was out of 50. So double it and get your percentage. And yeah, if you got more than Johnny, we don't know the actual score yet. 37 or 38, he says. Very well done to you. If you got all 16 in the final question, very well done to you. But do let us know. Feel free to get in touch with us. Let us know your score, and you can contact us on Twitter or Instagram at 1871 Podcast.